Well, welcome everyone to the Health Listening Wealth Show. I'm Leland Hawkins, your host, and I am here with two of my favorite people on the planet, the Tall Trees, Chief Robert and his beautiful wife, Terry. Longtime friends, and whenever we get back together again, not only is the conversation amazing, the connection just grows stronger. And if you have people like that in your life, cherish them like I cherish these two. Today, we're going to get into the conversation about manifesting abundant health, our greatest wealth. And before we actually get into the conversation, I want to take a couple of minutes and tell you a little bit about the tall trees. They are beyond amazing. The work that they have done all across the globe has been tremendous. They're best-selling authors, peace advocates, and world-renowned recording artists. They've been teaching Native American cultural programs for more than 30 years, and they've appeared on PBS, BBC, Animal Planet, Discovery Channel, and they've done so much more from an individual all the way into big corporate opportunities. They're founders of the How to Live on Purpose.com, and they're powerful guides for people who are committed to personal and planetary transformation. And that's what our show is all about. They've helped people in over 44 countries gain clarity, sharpen their focus, increase their energy, enhance their intuition, and expand their reach. And through the ancient Indigenous wisdom, they demonstrate how you can easily restore balance to your mind, your body, and your spirit. So I want you to join me today in welcoming Chief Robert and Terry TallTrees. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
It's an honor. It really is an honor. And I know that many times when we come on, I usually begin first by honoring my ancestors. And so I'm going to say, Bujun and Dinwe Maganag, Kanusum Tigan Disnakaz, Omash Kusnan of them, Mino Gijigat.
I'll translate for you. He just greeted you all in our Ojibwe language, very respectfully, and what he said was, hello to all my relatives. My name is Tree Reaching and Growing Toward the Sky. I am Elk Clan, and today is a good day. Good day.
Today is a good day. I get to be with my dear friends and help share the message about manifesting abundant health, our greatest wealth, with the world. And that is so key because there's so many of us, especially entrepreneurs, that feel as though if we can wake up in the morning and keep going, that we will keep going. And there are times when our bodies actually tell us to do something different. And they actually require us to do something different. But I really have some great questions that I know Spirit is going to guide through me. I want to start off with asking you to just give us some history of who the Tall Trees are, how you got started in this work, the journey, and why you're doing what you're doing today.
I'm really blessed. I've been over 71 times around the sun. So that has been really a blessing. And I think that also having the opportunity to be around elders that were 70, 80, 90, even 100 years young were my guides. My biological father left when I was 2 years old. My mother, in her wisdom, took it upon herself to call upon the native elders, and they kind of took me under their wing. And to me, I thought everybody had an opportunity to be around people of such great wisdom and color and beauty. I thought that was the way it was, and didn't realize until I got older that it was definitely a beautiful gift to have presented upon me, to be able to take and savor those moments of being one with yourself, and also realizing that nature is one of the greatest teachers. And because of that, it allowed me to be able to take and mirror their words. And it wasn't until later, many years later, that when I crossed the path of my wife, Terry, that the first thing I said to her was in my language, of course, because I thought, wow, this is a beautiful woman. And of course, what surprised me is when she spoke back to me in my language, and I didn't know what to say. So, here I was trying to impress her, but she definitely immediately kind of threw me off my feet. And the miraculous things that had to happen for us to even be with each other, because we were over 1,100 miles apart when we first crossed paths. And I could no way see that in fact, I said that to her when I took her back to her hotel where her friend was, that she traveled to where I was living. And I just kissed her on the forehead and said, I cannot see how you and I will ever have an opportunity to be with each other, because I said, when the Maker puts really genuine people out there to make a difference in the world, I think they've gotten a little thin, so he has to spread them out all over the world. And she said, that's okay, because you know that now I exist. And of course, there's all kinds of magical story that can be spoken of in the future about our meeting and greeting, and how we have now walked side by side on this particular earthly journey to be able to take and continue to take and teach the values of consciousness, the values of heartfelt steps with every breath and every step in which we make. So, and Terry, of course, has had numerous trainings from Native elders too, from the Plains Nation, Minds of the Woodland Nation, before I even met her. And they took it upon themselves to, they saw her, they looked in her eyes, and they immediately recognized her from that particular point. And I felt that that was much like the training in which I had gotten from my elders, who had a tendency of being so open with the teachings and the wisdom, that knew that when people were directed by the Maker to take and step into a moment of understanding, and they had an opportunity to present that, they felt quite blessed. And so the teachings themselves are really, they make sense, because they have a tendency of inviting you into a very gentle, a very nurturing and embracing understanding, to be able to take and see that these particular ways of living and being have been perpetuated for generations. And somewhere along the line, possibly whatever nation in which you have a tendency of being part of, it got kind of lost, but it wasn't totally forgotten. And so we're here to say that these particular fundamentals have worked continuously, time and time again, and they are effortless in their way of taking and encompassing, and to take and make the shifts and changes. Because when people have spoken to me, they said that they are bombarded with all this information, and it's dramatic to their particular lifestyle or way. But I said, listen, I'm only asking you to change 1%. And I said, if you don't wish to change 1%, then you don't wish to change. But so I'm asking you to do 1%. If you can do 1%, and they said, I can do 1%. I said, then I said, even in navigation, if you change 1%, you will end up being way someplace else. It's because that's how it works. It's like any kind of structure of angles, even measurement, that you take 1%, you move it, you're going to be way in another different direction and different destination. And to me, when we talk about these particular things, I say to them, listen, be very careful in what you observe and what you hear, because you can be fooled, especially in this world, because a lot of individuals are vying for your attention. But resonate with your heart and just stop for a moment, just even a minute, and say, how do I feel about this? And let that guide you. Let that be your navigation. And 99% of the time, you're going to be right attuned to what your own spirit, your own soul wishes to take and have you take and embrace the next step of life, of discovery and realizing the gifts in which you have, which you may not have unwrapped yet. No matter where you are in life, it's never too late. As long as you have a breath, as long as you have the heart, you can take and build upon that particular type of foundation. And individuals in which I've worked over the many, many years, I still work with many of them too, because they find that there's continued infinite expansion, just as love is.
I just want to give a little here's something for you to take home and practice, right? Just do this anytime you have a question about something. He just said it, but I'm going to put it into very practical, tangible terms as a practice. Put your hand on your heart, close your eyes if you need to, and just say, is this in my highest good?
It's in my
Mhm.
highest
Is this in my highest good? Whether it's a food choice, whether it's a decision for your business, whether it's a relationship, whatever it may be, an opportunity that arises that you're not sure, should I or shouldn't I? Whatever it is, if you just take a moment and just take a breath, just 7 seconds, right? Is this in my highest good? And internally, in the highest good of all, right? Because when it is in our highest good, we do no harm, right? So that's just a practice.
Another thing
Beautiful.
is to take and actually look to see who's doing the presentation, who you're speaking to or wishing to get to know, and see if they have a tendency of practicing what they teach.
Mm.
I mean, the thing is that when I was running the council as chief, and they were kind of disappointed that the individual which I had brought in to take and do the bookkeeping for their organization was not of native descent. And I said, listen, I'm not going to choose an individual to run our particular accounting that doesn't know how to balance their checkbook, nor would I go to somebody about wealth that does not have wealth, or somebody about health that does not have health, or relationships. If you're not in a great relationship, I'm not going to wish to talk to you about relationships. So I said, just using those particular simplistic common sense is really one of the next steps to be able to take and create the direction in which you wish to take and embrace. And it's one of the things, no one has a tendency of having successes by themselves. I hear this, oh, I'm a self-made millionaire or self-made, whatever it is. I said, that's impossible. It really is. And it's I question that, because we need people that has a tendency of being genuine, and we learn from them. The elders that gave me the ability to be able to think outside of the box, to be able to use natural and an organic approach to specific things, did that, and I continue to give them full credit for that I was in the right place at the right time, just as your audience right now is in the right place in the right time. They most likely, whether they are consciously of it or subconsciously of it, are yearning for a shift and a change in their life. And whatever it is, we are here to be able to take and give them some little hints on what they need, because basically it's just a minor adjustment that has a tendency of creating such a phenomenal way of living and being. I'm excited about it every time I teach. And I know there's never enough time, but at least we get enough in there for them to realize the genuineness of individuals that really live, love life, and know how to take and be around people that have a tendency of exemplifying that type of way of being.
I thoroughly agree. I love it, because when you talk about conscious living, and Terry, I love how you brought in that practice and asking that question, whether it be about, your next decision, the next thing going on your plate that's second helping, or whatever it might be. It's just beautiful how you brought that in and opened up for my next question here. So we're talking about manifesting abundant health. And in manifesting, it's a process. Tell us a little bit about your perspective and your flow in this process of manifesting, because a lot of people think, I'm going to do my meditations and I'm manifesting this and I'm, doing that, and it's to manifest this. But, as a conscious, heart-centered person, what should we know about manifesting?
I love this question, because I think for a lot of people, it's like they feel separate from what it is that they desire, right? If we're talking about manifesting, we're saying there's something that we want that we don't think we have, right? So we're separate from it. And that in and of itself is a very powerful thing to ponder, right? In manifesting, what we're doing is we're consciously co-creating. And I think the first thing that I really want to share with people is you're not separate from it. Yeah, like you are connected. You're connected all the time. what you consider yourself to be, the you that you think you are, your persona, this body, this earth journey, you're an energy field. You're a vibrational energy field of light, of sound, and of the sacred elements, of the elements that everything is made of. We're all carbon based on this planet, by the way. So we're all connected. We say Gakina, we are all related, right? So first of all, first and foremost, you're not separate from anything. You're an individual expression of all that is. But you're not separate from it. You never are, never have been, never will be, can't even be. You can only imagine that you are. You can forget that you are. But the truth is you're connected. So whatever it is that you feel separate from, that you desire, you already are a part of. So I can give you a 4-step process for conscious manifesting if you'd like that. Would you like that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Ooh. Audience
Here we
doesn't see
go.
me rubbing my hands together like the genie spell.
This is based on the ancient wisdom of our Indigenous teachers. The medicine wheel is a powerful tool and compass.
Terry, I'm sorry, I lost your sound. I lost your sound.
Lost our sound?
Now it's back. Okay, we're good.
Good. So what I'm going to share with you right now is part of the Indigenous wisdom that has been shared with us by our elders, our native elders. And the medicine wheel is a very, very powerful tool. It's a compass to help us discern and understand where are we in relationship to this earth journey, in relationship to the elements around us. And it gives us access to be able to put ourselves in harmony with the natural flow of energy. So rather than feeling that we're in resistance or separate from, it allows us to tune in and get a really clear signal. So if you picture the medicine wheel, for those of you who don't know what it is, the medicine wheel is depicted as a circle because all things move in a circle. All power moves in a circle. A bird makes its nest in a circle. A dog will lay in a circle, walk in a circle before it lays down. If you flick a stone into water, you'll see that it makes circles upon circles upon circles into infinity. My voice is traveling in sound waves. Everything in nature moves in a circle. The medicine wheel is represented as a circle divided equally into 4 quadrants. And we have deep, deep teachings on this, on how to, for free, if you sign up for the newsletter, on howtoliveonpurpose.com. There are many, many layers of teaching, but let's just use the idea that we have a circle and it's divided equally into 4 quadrants. And each of those quadrants represents some aspect of our self: mind, body, spirit, emotion, the 4 seasons, the 4 elements. There are many, many layers of it. And it's actually really multidimensional. It's not flat. It's not even a sphere. It's multidimensional, up to the heavens, down to the earth, just like we are, terrestrial and celestial, just like we are. And so in that circle, that 4 quadrants, the first thing that you need to do to consciously manifest is to have clarity, a clear vision, a clear picture of what it is that your heart desires. The second thing is you need to have a purpose, a reason why you desire that. What is the meaning and purpose of it in your life? How will that help you more fully realize who you truly are? How will that contribute to the circle around you and to the service of humanity and living beings? Thirdly, you need to have unwavering faith. And how do you have unwavering faith? That's a really good question, right? So make a list of all the times that you have thought of things that they have come into fruition. All the times that you thought about a friend and the phone rang and it was them. All the times that you experienced your sense of connection, because we all have it. We have it, times we notice it and times we don't, but we all have it. Keep a little notebook reminding you, I'm connected. I can have unwavering faith because I'm tuned in. We're all connected, right? And my desire, what I seek is already seeking me, right? It's already seeking me. What I seek is seeking me. I know not how it comes to be, but how is never up to me. As I will, so shall it be. Right? So as I get clear, I have a clear mental image. I know it. I feel it. This is my purpose. There is a reason for it that I desire it. I have unwavering faith that it is already so. I'm already connected to it. I open myself to receive. And because of that, I am in a state of deep and luscious gratitude. I am already grateful for it because I already believe it's here, right? It's already done. So that's the 4-step process. And you go through that every single day, touch it. I recommend you write it down and touch it, or take a picture and touch it, so that somehow you are physically, like viscerally connecting with your desire. And then just trust, let it go. You don't have to be, I think the more that we struggle, it's the more that we're like pushing it slightly out of, we don't believe it. We're not trusting. So just a few seconds a day, 17 seconds a day, right? Just put yourself in that state. Feel it in your heart, feel good about it. Think about all the great things that you'll be able to share as a result of attaining that desire. Maybe it's healing. Like I did this when I was paralyzed. I was in the hospital completely paralyzed, unable to move. When we talk about abundant health as the ultimate form of wealth, of course, because when we are healthy, we're able to express this godlike energy, this divine love, and share it, right? We can express our own unique being, right? Every one of us has this unique expression. And if we're not feeling vibrantly healthy, if we're not feeling abundantly healthy, it's hard to do that. And our journey, it may be 100, 120 years that we're on this planet. That's a blink in terms of the eternity of who we are as a soul, as a spirit. So we want to be able to share fully who we are and touch as many lives. And one of my elders, I love remembering this. A lot of times when we work with people and they're like really agonizing about what's my purpose, I need to fulfill my purpose. And it's like, oh, relax. like, just shine your light when you're in the produce aisle selecting that head of broccoli or cabbage or whatever, right? Just shine your light, and you're fulfilling your purpose. You don't have to try so hard. The harder we try, the more resistance we're creating. So when we're in the water, when we're in the flow of life and we're in our jiman, in our canoe, we just have to stay really awake and navigate around the obstacles, right? Enjoy the sunshine, the beautiful vista of the trees, the chirping of the birds, like keep ourselves in the flow of life and appreciate this life is sacred. And for anyone who's ever come close or crossed through that doorway and come back, as I have, we really understand this is a gift. Every single breath is a gift. Mm-hmm. We're not here to prove anything. We're here to experience it.
Mm-hmm. Well said. You want to add anything to that, Chief?
Oh my goodness. I was just kind of I was giggling because you ask us a question and we just like, watch out because you're going to get sprayed down from not just the garden hose, but the fire department too. I mean, we just open up. We open up and we let loose. But it is true. When people really wish, sometimes they'll say, what is my purpose? And I said, well, that's a huge, massive question to begin with. But I said, since you've given it so large of an expression in a statement, I would say that your purpose is to sustain joy. Mm-hmm. And so that is the question, and that is the answer. And if you are not moving into that particular realm of realizing that the environment definitely influences that effect, or if you're not having that effect, then you need to shift the environment, and no matter what that means to you. So I have taken and stepped toward individuals, and I've stepped away from individuals. Some related to me and some not. But to me, it's because I have that value of self and realize that to really love myself, to really nurture myself, to really take care of myself, that I choose to do so. I don't take it as an obligation, nor do the individuals in which I embrace dearly in my life as such. They are a gift to me, and I remind them. I assisted this woman who was trying to make a few extra dollars, trying to fix a fence for a neighbor, and she has some ideas of how to use specific tools. And I was walking by and I said, "Oh, you're having trouble with that fence." I said, "Let me hold that." Well, before the 2 hours was done, I was putting it together. And she said, "Oh, why are you doing this? I don't deserve this." And I said, you have to get into another consciousness. Why do you think that I all of a sudden had the time that you could say was accidentally was walking by at the time when you were working on this, that I was able to step in and assist you with this? I said, it's because you do deserve it. That it's why it happens. You need to take and get into a whole different statement, because when we have a tendency of taking and going over a specific statement that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not well enough. What these continue, this is like a mantra. You are then manifesting that. But if you say, "Wow, I am blessed. I needed help, and look at this," the maker, the creator, God sent somebody and said that was willing to step in and assist me to be able to accomplish this goal. And I said to her, I said, this is exactly what we're relating to, that when you take and set intention, emotion, you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
You actually have help. You were never alone in respect to that. You had a need, you to help you financially, whatever it is. I said, I lovingly did this. She continually, through the whole 2 hours, invariably would say, "I don't know why you're doing this. I don't know why." I said, "We're doing this because this is what a neighbor does. I can do this. I can assist you to do this. I can help you with this." I said, "That's what it is." I have the dearest friends in my life. I may not speak to for years, but when we see each other, it's like I spoke to them a moment ago.
Yeah.
Because that's the unconditional love I have for them. And to me, that is the best type of relationship to have, is to be able to realize that there are people in this world that love and adore you. And I'm sure everyone at least has one person like that. And if you have 5, my elder said, if you have 5 in your life, you are blessed. And I must say that I have actually more than 5. But I know I'm blessed to have individuals, and every time I see them, it's just a lighthearted way of being. They are definitely my chosen family, and many of them I call brothers and sisters and such, because they are very dear to me. And to me, that is what it is. I choose life, but I choose love first. Love for myself. And people ask me, well, what is, because everybody likes to see things in specific steps or sequences. And they said, how is it you present your life? And I said, well, if you're talking about the first thing before I open my eyes, is I thank the maker for giving me another day. And I say, please help me stay out of my own way. So
Love that.
So then I said, so there's the maker, there's me. Then there's ones in which I love that are very endearing to me. Then there's my work. And I said, if you have that out of sequence, then you're not going to be able to take and flow with the way by design you were made. And I said, so that's the way in which I utilize that. And many people will have their work way up on the top, above everything. And I say, you're out of sequence. You're out of the natural vibrational force of what nature even has a tendency of embracing. And so when you start to take and resequence things, then you start living your life more in the vibrational essence of purpose. So to me, it's what it's all about.
And that's a beautiful way of putting it, because if we've ever gotten to the point where we find ourselves one day saying, how did this happen? I'm 50 pounds overweight, or I'm, dealing with this issue with health or my wealth. How did that happen? And we do have to go back to kind of think about what was that place where the alignment got off balance. And is there a way for us to kind of keep ourselves in check going forward? You know, we're asking the maker to help us to stay out of our way in the day and possibly to hopefully to make the best of the day. But is there something that we might bring to our consciousness if we see happening that can help to bring us back into that alignment that we want to have in our day, in our lives?
You know, we can utilize numerous tools. Like I said, we're physical beings, but we're also spiritual beings, and we can utilize specific tools which has a tendency of continually remind us consciously, because we need to remind ourselves consciously, because if we do so enough, then it starts to seep down to the levels of subconscious. And that's where we have a tendency of needing to really take and realize that that's how we ingest information and that's how we apply information. And the more we have a tendency of working toward utilizing positive thoughts and positive individuals around us, the more we have a tendency of then accepting the higher level of love, a love of style of being. And that then has a tendency of starting to be built upon, because everything in which we have a tendency of manifesting is because we have taken and done so. We have taken specific thought processes or configurations or stories and implemented them. We do it subconsciously. That's the heart of things. It's where the hesitancy of being. And we do so because we feel we are either deserving or we're not deserving. That's how we work. So, and today, with today's society and today's world and today's media, it doesn't work on a very positive consciousness. It doesn't. And then I'd say 90% of it doesn't have a tendency of taking and really seeking a higher level of taking and a conclusion of evaluation of purpose of ways of taking and moving around these things until usually in the last moment, then they say, oh, we could have done this or we could have done that. Invariably, people have a tendency of having very loving, very caring, very nurturing hearts. And they, to me, when people say, what can I do? I said, if anything, if you feel that you cannot do something physically or financially, then a prayer does help. I said, so there's always something that an individual can do. And I have seen, especially with the community in which I work with, where we'll send a prayer to someone and miraculous, they have something happens that's very positive for them. And I said, that is the power of all of us taking with the same intention and moving toward unconditionally towards a direction or a person. And that's how it works. I said, it's not as difficult as what individuals realize. It's just setting yourself again in the right proper environment of individuals that understand those specific principles.
I would like to share something that we used to be on tour. We would be on the road like 240 days a year, and we would be at a different venue, a different facility in a different town daily. The longest we were ever in any one place was maybe 3 days or something like that. So we had people we were working with, and invariably at the end of the sessions, people would say, I feel completely different. I feel so centered and grounded and at peace. And I feel so hopeful. I feel so optimistic about the future and my place in it. And then they would say, can you come back tomorrow? or can we go home with you? And we would just laugh. Well, over a period of time, it occurred to us that working with just a brief tuning to that energy, it's great, but it kind of doesn't last. It's not sustainable if people don't have a practice in place. You know what I mean? And so your question, what I hear in your question is, what does it take to be able to notice when you drift off course and bring yourself back on course? If that's already gotten into a dangerous place financially, relationship-wise, health-wise, or a feeling of disconnection from your spirit, right? How do I get centered and grounded? And if I've already drifted way off, or if maybe I just, want to have something that helps me sustain that. We talk about the environment and what does it take to create a sustainable future for the next 7 generations, right? And I think it's a practice. And so what we started to do is develop programs that would help people implement a very simple practice that keeps you in your own rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key. People aren't aware of their own rhythm because they're distracted. There's so much going on with social media. There's a lot going on with the news media. There's a lot going on with feeling what you should be doing, right? And as you mentioned earlier, as entrepreneurs, the to-do list is, and it's not just entrepreneurs, it's moms, it's dads, it's teachers, it's doctors. It's anybody that we have ever encountered has this never-ending to-do list. They go to bed at night thinking about what they haven't gotten done, and they wake up in the morning already overwhelmed and exhausted and stressed by what they're looking at that needs to get done that day, already believing that they're not going to be able to complete it anyway. That's a self-defeating practice. That's going to get you nowhere fast. It's like being in an eddy in water, right? And so establishing a practice that keeps you in the center. So earlier I spoke about the medicine wheel, and in the center of the wheel is where we reside, right? And we're surrounded in all directions by beauty. If we remember to just come back to the center every morning when we wake up, to take just a moment and put ourselves back in the awareness of I am loved and supported from all directions. That this earth is lifting me up, holding me up. I don't have to do anything to be here on this earth. The earth is holding me up, right? I don't have to do anything to be connected with the heavens. The heavens is already, it's downloading to me guidance every moment. I just have to be able to listen. And how can I listen if I'm already full? Right? So we have to be willing to empty out that list and not have the list be our map for our life. We have to create a different reference point for how we go about engaging with our environment and with the world every day. So if we start off empty with an idea of the direction that we're heading, and that helps from the medicine wheel. What season are we in? What elements are supporting us right now? So for example, when we're talking about healing, like if we want to talk about health right now. So first and foremost, we have to have some self-acceptance and forgiveness, right? We have to accept our body as it is and forgive our body for what it's not doing for us that we think it should, and ask our body for forgiveness for not hydrating it enough, for not giving it enough rest, for not giving it the right nutrition, the right amount of movement and exercise that it needs to stay lubricated and active, right? To be able to get up off the floor without assistance and those kinds of things. What have we done that's gotten us as children? We didn't even think about that. It was a given. Our body has been willing to carry us through these decades, serving us. How about showing it a little love instead of, shame? How many of us have shamed ourselves, thinking, oh, I've gained weight, or I should be in this size, or I'm comparing myself to that person, or whatever it is that we do, that level of discord, that energy that we're projecting toward our body, that's not loving. That's not loving. And so to enter into a loving relationship with this vessel that has encapsulated all this memory, right? And just to get in touch with that on a very real level. For me, that was a big part of my healing when I was paralyzed, to realize what is my body trying to tell me? What am I not listening to? And how did I get here? And then secondly, to honor the body and strengthen the body by giving it, if we were taking care of a plant, what nutrients would that plant need? How much sunlight would it need? How much water would it need? What kind of nutrients in the soil would it need to be strong? Well, our body deserves at least that care, right?
Mhm.
And figuring out what does that mean for you. And I'm not going to advocate that it's a one size fits all program, because different plants require different kinds of environments and different kind of nutrients and different amounts of sunlight and shade.
Mhm.
But there is a way to determine that for you. And as you tune into that, you can figure out what works for you. And then finally, to really get like what comes next after that, those are some initial steps. But then tuning into what allows us to flourish beyond just survival and just a level of health, but what's vibrant health. And finally, what allows us to have massive, miraculous breakthroughs. And when I walked out of the hospital, my doctors were like, whoa, how did you, we're surprised. We're surprised that you are walking out. You're the only one not surprised. And I was like, well, I mean, I was consciously connecting and listening and interacting, right? There's a level of magic and miracles that we all have access to when, like he says, we get out of our own way and we open our hearts and our minds and our inner listening, right? And we can hear, we're being guided, and we can let go of the things that have hurt us, that we've been carrying, and we can move forward in ways that allow us to kind of take away, kind of like Michelangelo and David, when he said, I didn't carve David, I just took away the parts that weren't David. And I think all of us have that. We have hurts and betrayals and things that we identify as failures and shortcomings. And when we start to let go of that, all the judgments and the criticisms, and we enter into a relationship of self-love. And I always tell people in our mastery, hey, it's an inside job. It's not for the faint of heart, because you go into that wound and you heal it. You nurture it. You let it be done with. You don't carry it with you because it's too much baggage.
Well, and with any wound, you have to clean the wound.
Yes,
You know,
I was just
If you don't
thinking
clean
that.
the wound, it will not heal.
Mhm.
And then nurture it and take care of it and move from that particular point. And another thing that people need to take and really start to really contemplate is stop comparing. Stop competing. Don't compare yourself. Don't compete. You are a unique as a snowflake. And there's billions of snowflakes. They look the same, but they're not. And it's the same as human beings. You're just that beautiful. You have and so knowing that you're that beautiful, work within that. The gifts in which you were given were given to you for a reason. My elder said if every human being had a tendency of following the gifts of heart, the ones that they were placed there would be no wars.
Yeah.
The only thing which would be this euphoric way of bliss. We would actually have heaven on earth.
Right.
Because people would then fall natural into things which they are passionate about. And it's like we did a teaching once, and 2 professors resigned from the university because they realized after the teachings that we had done that they were not following their bliss. They always wanted to take and be in nature, and they wanted their children to be in nature. And they realized that they had an opportunity to buy a KOA campground, and they did, and resigned that the next day. They resigned. They said, we were talking about this. We have the opportunity to purchase it. And we said, we don't want our children being brought up in the city. We want our children to be brought up in forest and nature and meeting people. And they said, and that was the final key. It was like, okay, God, give us a sign. And you guys came in, did the teaching. We said, that's what we're looking for.
Why wait, right?
And it's the same as many individuals will say, let me hear, show me, God, that there's a sign. And could it be like a butterfly? And there'll be a teaching and somebody will say, and we normally talk about bees, but today we're going to talk about butterflies. And they'll say, okay, I get it. I am being heard. I am being heard.
Right.
I did a teaching at one of our events, and a woman was talking to her her spiritual guide, and she called him up, and she said, "Well, you know, I taken and has spoken to the Maker, but I haven't heard anything." And her spiritual guide said, "Oh yes, the Maker always speaks. It's just you're not listening." And it struck her, and it had to come from him. And she came back, and she just like had tears in her eyes. And I said, "I have a gift for you to send to him." And I had a special feather that had been painted. It was like a goose feather or something, but it had a beautiful design of an animal, and I wrapped it in red cloth. And I said, "Please send him this. He will know what it is." And she said, as soon as he got it and he opened it, he broke down in tears. And because it was a feather that honored him for speaking his wisdom, what we relate to as a talking feather. And so, to me, those specific events that, you know, being in the moment and knowing this is the right thing to do.
And so, I mean, coming back to, like, I really want to kind of summarize for anyone here that's listening. It's so important. It's essential to recognize that you are being seen and heard. We say in Ojibwe that we are all related and that we're all connected all the time. But I think often people feel like they are somehow invisible, that they're not being heard. And even in prayer, like they're not sure. It's kind of like they stick a letter in a mailbox and then they don't remember, did I put a stamp on it? Did it really get there, right? Is it really being received? And we say, Ningi Wabama, I see you. You are seen, you are heard. And it's because you're always connected. And there's not a moment, there's not a millisecond in time when you are invisible, when you're not being heard. And what you need to understand, this is what our elders so generously gifted us to share with you, is that you are being the field of energy that you are, the you that you are, the truth of who you are is connected in this divine matrix of universal consciousness. This space that appears to be between us is not empty. It's not space, it's intelligence. It's ever present. You are a part of it. It is a part of you. There is no separation. And so what you are thinking, what you are speaking, and what you are doing, the actions you take, your 3 arrows of power, the thoughts you think, the words you speak, and the actions you take are reverberating. And they are connecting, whether you are aware of it or not. So you are broadcasting, you are sending a transmission all the time, and you are receiving feedback from that. And so for you to understand that you are loved, you are cherished, you're not being punished, things aren't being withheld from you. And so when you remember you're connected, and all you need to do is change what you're change your transmission, change what you're thinking, what you're focused on, change what you're speaking, because words have power. They have the power to uplift or destroy. That's how powerful you are. The actions that you're following through on with let's just say for health, are you acting in accordance with a healthy lifestyle and environment? Are the choices that you're making, you're the only one putting things into your mouth, right? You're the only one who can breathe. You're the only one who can hydrate this body. If you want to be healthier, make the choices that are in alignment with that, because you love who you are. You deserve that. You're beautiful. You know what I mean? You're precious. There's nobody like you in this whole world. There never has been. There never will be. You're unique. You're extraordinary. You don't have to prove it. You're already here. You won the lottery. You're already here, right? Celebrate.
People don't realize that they are immersed in the love of God.
Yeah.
I mean, just contemplating that, realizing that, and opening yourself up to it is initially how you can take and create those specific shifts.
Yeah,
because we were given choice.
right.
That's the key component.
There you go.
We were given choice, and I choose love, I choose life. And that's and utilizing those specific principles and redialing yourself back in to embracing those ways. It some things don't come directly because there's specific steps that are relevant to really taking and understanding that gift.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, sometimes the challenges that we encounter in our lives help. That's sort of the chipping away of the stone from David, right? It's the knocking off of the barnacles. It's the clearing out of those things that no longer serve us. And sometimes we have to come up against that obstacle to be able to recognize that we even have that. Like, I mean, literally just 2 days ago, I had an experience of recognizing a pattern of lack around financial abundance that I took on from my mom that I never knew I took. Like just a couple of days ago. It's ongoing. It's just ongoing. And to me, what a gift is that, right?
Yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah.
Another layer of abundance I'm opening up to. And I already feel like I have such extraordinary abundance in my life, in love, in financial wealth, in abundant health. I have so much joy and appreciation in my life. And now more is coming, right? Now it's more. It's like, woohoo, bring it on.
Absolutely. Yes. Oh my gosh. And, I love that because what it reminds me of is the seasons that we go through, right? This is the season that you were supposed to have that awareness so that more could come. And there's so many of us who get discouraged because we don't understand that awakening is so purposeful. And, give us some wisdom that really allows us. I mean, that was a beautiful example that help us to really understand that that's part of the process, right? That's part of why we're here, to go through those times. Right?
Absolutely. And the flowers don't bloom exactly the same second and minute every year. They don't, because they go with the natural flow of the seasons.
Yes. Yes.
Just as we can do the same. Again, when I spoke earlier, I said nature is the greatest teacher.
Yes.
And it teaches us that if we are in the flow, we can appreciate every moment. I mean, to me, I'm always amazed how a seed knows which way is up, but then I realize that it doesn't have to see warmth, it can feel it.
Yeah.
And how do we make specific choices? We choose because we have a feeling for it.
Yeah.
That's how we choose. We have a feeling for it. And sometimes utilizing the emotion of anger, we make a choice there. Mm-hmm. Utilizing the emotion of understanding, we can do that too. And of nurturing, of listening to ourselves. Because we are so persuaded by the media. And they do know how to take and manipulate through words and story. And we have to take, and as Terry said, just place your hand over your heart. And that gives you your power back.
I think too, it's just I'm so grateful to our elders for giving us the medicine wheel teachings to share. And in our own life, we live by this. We live by the seasonal changes, what kinds of activities are attuned to nature. So we are constantly placing ourselves in harmony with the natural flow, right? We're not working against it. We're not forcing anything. We're not pushing anything. We're like, this is spring is the season for preparation and planting. Summer is the season for growth and expansion. Autumn is the season for gratitude and harvest. Winter is the season for rest and renewal. How do we use that energy authentically, naturally? When do we, you know, live outwardly, and when do we bring ourselves back in? And each of us has our own natural rhythm. How do we tune ourselves to that natural rhythm using these ancient teachings? It's so effortless. And I always say, you know, it's interesting because it's so simple that it's elegant, right? Because we can get really complicated up here, right?
Yes.
Like for neck up, oh my gosh, we can mess things up. But when we just, you know, integrate our wisdom and our heart, when this doorway is open, I always say this is the longest journey you'll ever walk. It's 18 inches to keep from going elevator up into just our logical mind, to keep our use the power, learn how to master the mind. The mind, Robert always says, the mind is a powerful servant, but a terrible master. Let the heart be the master and the mind be the servant. Allow it to learn how to focus, master your mind, honor your body, harness the power of your emotions, because that's the jet fuel for manifestation. And then awaken your spirit. When all four of those things, that's all part of the medicine wheel. When those are in harmony and you're standing in the center, I know from personal experience over and over again, miracles are not only possible, they're happening every single day. They're not in ancient history books. They're happening today. They're happening in your life. Learn how to witness them. Learn how to be grateful for them. Tune into that energy that in you resides sacred power. You have been given the gift to co-create in this world, create in a way that brings absolute joy and abundance to you, that flows out to everyone around you. That's what we're here for.
It really is. And it's in that spirit that we are our best selves. And, you know, again, I think that it's just such a beautiful thing for me to be a part of what is helping others who are ready to awaken to do that. And, you know, a lot of our conversations here on the Health Wisdom and Wealth Show really dive into the subject of using lifestyle and food as medicine. And, you know, it's whole foods, plant-based foods, the lifestyle, being in nature. While I believe in meeting people where they are, learning how to do life more healthily starts somewhere. What do you find that most people are attracted to you or show up, you know, in front of you to begin their journey or be supported on their journey? What do you find most people, what stage do you find most people at?
Really, most of the people that we work closely with are people who've been on they've been consciously aware that they're on a spiritual journey. They're generally not newly starting out. They've usually been walking a journey. They've been tuned in for quite some time, and they're also aware that there is more, and that they want to experience a higher level of personal transformation and self-mastery. They feel like they're close, but they're sort of like they're at the threshold of something and they want to step through. And so the people that we generally work with are people who are very consciously aware that they're that this life that we are living in is a spiritual process. It's a process of awakening, and that, as Robert was saying earlier, there's not like an end game. It's not like if I do this, this will happen. There is that component of it, but it's more than that. It's a process. It's like a spiral, right? That we are continually evolving. Like I was saying earlier, I mean, to just have yet another layer of awareness come to me and another layer of release that allows me to experience even more. I think that it's not like once and done, like a checklist that we're conditioned, I think, in particularly in this Western model of education to kind of be goal driven and results driven, and to feel like there's something to attain, that then we will know we are something, right? And I think that that's really it's misguided, because it puts an external um, it creates, it's in reverse, right? We're taught that when we have something, right, when we do something, we'll have something, and then we'll be something. And really the process of what we work with is, you need to be in tune with your own being, the essence of who you truly are. Then the doing comes out of self-expression, and the having is a natural outcome.
I think that the individuals in which we work with for over in my observation over the many years are actually people that have a tendency of really having some high caliber expansion. I work with psychologists, rocket scientists. I've worked with millionaires and billionaires to where they ask for some insight, because I can step from outside of their circle and then mirror back what I see before me. And in doing so, it allows them to be able to say, oh, I see where I'm at. And sometimes you get so immersed in the world in which you are living and the bubble in which you live, you're not able to see beyond that, because there's so much going on. And then you have somebody that doesn't have an attachment to that bubble. They can take and say, well, they'll ask you a question, what do you see? And I'll say, well, I see this and this and this. It's interesting, some of the questions you get asked by, because you get individuals that definitely their wealth is not a problem, but their health, their physical health is good, but their mental health is out of balance. And so they'll ask me specific things, and they'll say, oh, I didn't even see that. I said, well, we only see what we believe. And that has a tendency of being a common structure among most beings, until we have a tendency of taking and realizing that there's more than what we see. And it's like the blinders on the horse. It only knows what's in front of it. It doesn't realize that there's more to the world than that. And when we have a tendency of taking those blinders off, it's when we realize there's so much more and much more interest that we have a tendency of taking and being able to embrace. And that is mind-opening to the experience of life itself. I feel that when we do that, things do have a tendency of becoming even more vivid in vibration. The people, the color of nature, even the hearing and your capacity to be able to all of a sudden realize that there's a songbird living outside my door that I never heard before. Those things are part of the feeding of your soul and your spirit, because that's what people are starving from primarily, of that. And that, again, that's the imbalance of mind, body, spirit, and emotion. So when we talk about what is it that you're lacking, if your health is great, and your mind is being worked and it's growing and expanding, then what else? Look into the values of each one of those realms to see what you're starving at this particular time, to recreate that balance, reattune yourself to those specific energies. And that is really what the medicine wheel was designed to do. It's a way of taking and mapping out your life and the way in which you're doing things. I say to many individuals that if you start to take and really study your rhythms, simply look at it, set a calendar on your refrigerator and see and mark on the calendar, I was really productive today. Productive, but just put the productive. I wasn't so much on this day. You can actually map your own rhythms and how you actually are more, and you can say, well, I know that I can build a deck this month for sure, because I can see that my previous months before I was able to do so much in those. That's your rhythms. It's not like anyone else's, but you can take and utilize that as your map to be able to accomplish so much more. Know when to pull back and rest, know when to express the energy, because it's there. That's what it is when you start doing the specific, simplistic little actions and adjustments within your life. So you can say, I know I can accomplish this then.
And guilt-free, right? Because I grew up feeling like I need to be productive all the time, right? And so then if I had like I know now that my rhythm, I can have days where I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I can get like, enough done that it'd take like 3 days to do it, but I just have all this energy and I'm inspired and it seems effortless and I'm just really engaged in it. And then maybe the next day, like just and I used to feel guilty about that. I used to feel ashamed, like the word lazy would come up. And for me, it took me honestly decades, I will confess, decades to release myself from that old programming and go, this is my rhythm. I celebrate the days that it's like that. I celebrate the days when I rest and I go for a swim. I go for a walk. I sit out and I watch the hummingbirds, in the garden. Maybe I feel like baking today, or maybe I just feel like playing my guitar today, or something like singing or whatever. I now have the thing with guilt and shame is like a very, very, it's a whisper now where it used to be a shout, right? And finding out how to honor my rhythm, as Robert was saying, in a way that really continues to support, so the energy comes back in and builds up, and know that that's just the way that I work. I don't know, it's not good, bad, right or wrong. It's just my rhythm. And, different people have different styles and rhythms with what works for them. That whole balance of the mind, body, spirit, emotion that he was talking about, I couldn't agree more. That is just like, when you get that, when that starts clicking in, and these teachings help you get that. They really do. They help you. We've had so many people that say, if it weren't for these teachings, I would never have been able to really navigate through what just came up in my life, or I wouldn't be where I'm at today without these teachings. Because, and it's not us. I mean, all credit to our elders and these ancient teachings that they were designed. Yeah, the creator, they were designed. This is a mirror of how nature works. And if we don't understand that we are a part of nature, we'll always have this discord and this sense that something's missing, something's off. But as soon as we make that connection, it's like everything starts to just like relax and settle. And I think that's the thing today. There's so much stress. People are under so much stress, but they don't have to be. You don't have to be. Literally today, you can set it down.
You mentioned, Lynn, earlier about meditation. And what I've taught individuals, I said, meditation is a prayer, but so is dancing, so is singing, so is listening to writing, sculpting, listening to a bird sing. Those are all prayers. They're just in a different language. But no, when it has a tendency of resonating deep within your spirit, your soul, that's what it is. So realize that you can immerse yourself in the sacredness of life.
Oh my goodness. I could just be in this kind of conversation with you guys like forever. Because for one thing, the reason that this show came alive was to have conversations like this and to be the vehicle to help people to insert themselves in thinking so that they can grow themselves. And we're always, with every day that we have life, we must expect some growth. Otherwise, what are we doing, right? And I think about, you mentioned the mom and the busy dad and the entrepreneur running one business and the one that's running 3 or 4 or however many. We all have the same things, but we all have to come back to the same thing, which is the centering, the grounding in ourselves in order to really embrace being in the flow. Because we can have all of these things going on. And in the flow, I'm with you, Terry. I think that the element that we have been taught about stress actually can be dissolved. It is something that is in the river and is not a part of us. We've taken it on, and I think erroneously, like we've learned how, these fast foods and, the busy lifestyle that we see, the way that they've taught us to see it, is to our detriment. And we have to come back to the beginnings. And when we think about the beginnings, I'm really, I have always been drawn to the Native American way of life, way of teaching. It just aligns so much to my African heritage of the way that, the beginnings and the teachings and the value of family and how we be, how we are ourselves individually and collectively in community. And I think that is so important for us. Tell us a little bit more about your community and being a part of your community, especially as it relates to this abundance and health, our biggest wealth, our greatest wealth.
I love my community. I often call them my tribe, and they're from all walks of life, men and women, mostly women, but initially, like I said, again, it's just what it is at this particular time. But they, it's funny because they tune in once a week where I do like this half-hour little broadcast, and they say sometimes I'll be feeling my energy is really, dwindling, and I'll realize, oh, it's almost Tuesday, and I'm going to get another boost from the TallTrees. And to me, I think it's funny because I don't have a script. I come through with what just happened to me and how it could have taken and given to me down the rabbit hole or a spiral. And I was able to embrace myself, embrace my moment, and realize that I can choose. I am writing the story of my life. I am the author. And because I am the author, and I can realize initially that I can disconnect to the degree of the past emotional way in which I would take and move. And in doing so, I can take and do the most loving thing to do, to embrace myself as I would embrace a beautiful child. In doing so, I have been able to take and maneuver around what I thought was a total block in front of me, because things that have a tendency being right in front of you seem so huge until you take a step back and says, that was just a board. I can walk around that. But people will just bang their head thinking I have to push through it, and it's abusive to do that. But if take a step back, and I always say, if you would take and even implement the habit of taking one breath before you made any decision, you would find that how empowering that is. That gift of life that was given to you from the moment that you took your first breath, to remind yourself that, yes, that began your journey. And you will give that breath back one day. But initially, if you take that opportunity, it opens a whole new understanding of how we have set in motion specific habits and reactions. For every reaction, there's a reaction, but the reaction can be totally different. And by taking and setting a new difference to that moment, we'll have a tendency of opening a whole new world of how empowered you can be. To me, we all have had specific things that we regret in the past, but we can observe it. We don't have to take and reawaken it. We can learn from it and realize that was then. And some people say, I wish I could go back. And I said, but then if you went back, you would probably make the same decision, because you wouldn't have all the wisdom carried back with you. And my wife and we talk about it. He said, there's a reason when you're in the car why the mirror is smaller than the windshield. Look forward to your life. Look forward to the things in which are presented.
I think when we speak about our community, we're a family. We're a family, and we love one another, and we support one another. And we provide a vessel, like a basket. We weave a basket with the teachings of these lessons from our elders, and we share that. We just share it. We all kind of we're like puppies. We're all like huddled together, just cozy, and there's no sense of judgment. There's not any feeling of having to hide. We always say to people that come into our community, welcome home. We've been waiting for you. We're part of a spiritual family, and we're here to love one another and to support one another and to lift one another up. And of course, we all have lessons to learn. We all have, we have things to grow through. It's natural. It's natural, and that's okay. It's nothing to be ashamed of or have to be embarrassed by. Shame to me is one of the most limiting, abusive energies there is. And if we can, I always say, just fire the judge and the jury, and just embrace yourself. Like, we are so hard on ourselves as human beings. And what TallTree said earlier about comparison, like if we are comparing ourselves with anyone else, we've just pulled the plug out of being connected with direct current, right? With our spiritual maker, because he didn't, the creator didn't make any of us like anyone else. We're totally unique. So as soon as we compare, we've now just disconnected from that sense of the miracle that we are. And when we start to recognize that, we always say, when we used to go out and be in schools with kids, we would have them say, I am a gift to the world, and realize that. And we had people, I remember there was one beautiful being in our mastery program when we first began it, and he said, I used to hear you say that, and I used to think, well, it's like Mr. Rogers, it's like so Barneyism, it's like so hokey. I am a gift to the world, I'm a gift to the world. And one day he was in the mastery circle with us, and he was very emotional, and he said, I felt it for the first time, and it's a truth. I am a gift to the world.
We found when we were teaching in schools, it was easy for children to embrace that and just yell it out. But as we went and taught into the later grades, it became less and less and less. I remember asking a whole high school group to say that. And I said it out loud. I just blasted it out. And I said, that's what I wish for you to say on the count of 3. And I went 1, 2, 3. And one person said, I am a gift to the world. And they all turned and laughed at him. And he was kind of really embarrassed. And I took one of my CDs and I tossed it to him. I said, you certainly are. And then they all said, I'm a gift to the world. I said, you missed the moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't say it for what you get.
Right.
And I think that's it. I think we're taught, again, it's backwards. We're taught to do something to get something. But we do it for the sake of the doing, right? We do it for the expression of it. Like helping the neighbor fix the fence, like, whatever it is, like for like health. Why do I drink, why do I drink my lemon water every day? Why do I drink my 2 liters of lemon water? Why do I go out and swim? Why do I talk to the plants? I'm so excited. My little sprouts came up this morning. I'm like giddy with excitement. Why I think when we eat more plants, we feel more peaceful. We have a connection. The more plant-based we are in terms of our nutrition, the more we tune into that natural energy. And when we do things for the sake of the doing it, as opposed to for the result, I think a lot of people feel very disconnected with eating healthy because they have it hooked up in a weird way. You know what I mean? They have it hooked up, like I will eat healthy because I have to, you know, I'll eat this. I don't really want to, but I know it's good for me. Well, it's like that's self-deprecating. You know what I mean? There's not joy in that. There's not joy in it. So if you can find ways, and this is one of the things in our community, we do this whole health process, this whole healing process. We just completed a 4-week, like create a new body experience through nutrition. And it's like, oh my gosh, the excitement, the level of excitement and weight loss and liberation that people experience through it, it's pure joy. The energy is so high. It's like, oh, I did this. Oh, I want to share this recipe with you. It's so delicious. Like, it's such a celebration. And to have that be how you experience health, not that I'm depriving myself, but that I'm nourishing myself, that I'm celebrating myself, that I have this rainbow of color on my plate and everything tastes delicious. I'm not suffering through being abundantly healthy, anything but. And people who, just our neighbor said, oh, when TERRI makes anything, I want to eat more of it. It's like so good. Because for me, health is a celebration. It's not a deprivation, right? And that, it's the same thing with if you're in business and you feel like you're suffering, if you are forcing yourself to do what you're doing, please stop. You're not helping anyone. You're certainly depriving yourself, and you're not serving anyone in that process. So dial yourself back to your center. Is this in my highest good? Because if it's not in your highest good, no one else is going to really benefit from it. Do what you are inspired to do. When we are inspired, that comes directly from the maker. Inspiration, it's spirit in us, right? That's what inspiration is, spirit in us. And then, when we talk about to imagine, when I was talking about that first step on the medicine wheel for conscious manifestation, image in. Imagine, image in, right? It's very simple. It's very simple. And that's what we do week after week with our community in programs like the Manifest Abundant Health program. 4 weeks, miracles happen because you go through self-acceptance and forgiveness. You go through honoring and strengthening the body. You go through how the 6 literal steps. I map out exactly what I did, the practice I did every single day to heal from being completely paralyzed and walking out and setting medical history. And then the 4th step, how to create miracles in your life, how to align with and create literal complete breakthroughs, whether it's in your health, in your abundance, whatever. We've mapped that out in ways that take you deep, deep into the practices, but in very simple, like Robert said, they're simple steps. They're a few minutes a day. You don't have to make it so complicated. Just make it part of like breathing. You don't have to think about breathing. You're breathing. You don't have to think about blinking your eyes. Your body's doing it for you. You're not beating your, are you? You're not telling your heart to beat. Your heart is beating for you. The maker's doing it all. The spirit in you is already doing it. We have to just reconnect with the spirit within us, that sacred power that resides within us, and everything starts to fall into place.
So the people that have a tendency of coming into our community, some of them have been with us since day one. I mean, they've been 20, 30 years working with us, and some of them come and go, and some of them return. And so sometimes people come to the fruits of the tree and they pick an apple and they're happy. Others will pick 2 or 3. And because nature continues to show us that from one seed, many seeds can be built upon. You can see that many in an apple, you can see that many in an orange. You don't just get one seed in every orange, you get many seeds. Yeah. And a watermelon, they're all reflections of nature. And when people come to attain the sweetness of life, we lovingly guide them.
Yeah, we have more than enough to share. Just come and be nourished, come and play, if be loved.
If they're coming to me or looking for somebody to tell them they're right, wrong, good, or bad, that's not what I do.
Right.
That's not what I do. It's not my job. But I do wish for them to realize that if I can take and move into a blissful life, so can they.
Right.
And to me, that is a wonderful, and so many individuals have taken stop at me and talked to me that said, you know, are you TallTree? And I'd say yes. And I would be somewhere way out of state or in not even another country. And I'm thinking, how in the world, it starts my mind boggles, like, how did our paths cross like this? You said this to me, or you taught me, or you gave me this object, because this object I carry with me reminds me of that moment. And it is something I built upon. That a complete stranger saw something within myself, gave me a symbol of that, and I carry that to remind myself that this is good. This is a goodness that's within me, and it's changed my whole life. And I celebrate that. That to me is such a reward to me, that I know that I am on task. I am on mark. I am on purpose. And because I love when people start to really realize how beautiful that they are, and that they have the power to change, to shift, to adjust. And the more you adjust and change to that inner light, to that inner being, and selflessness, in which is there all the time, to awaken that is to really celebrate.
Beautiful. I love that. And I can so relate to that. And as I look at the time, unfortunately, we have to bring things to a close. So I'm going to ask you, what is some wisdom that you have, either just bring back what you've spoken of today, or something that you would like to leave our audience with that really can help make a positive impact on their lives, that they can take with them? I mean, you've given us so much already. I can't imagine something else, but please do share.
You know, finding wisdom among the elders and among the children, because they have such gentle, loving hearts. To be open to those things, because always open your heart on a regular basis. And the simple quest of being there to observe life, to love life, to know that there's something within yourself that will take and activate those particular miraculous moments, is really what I wish everyone to understand. But again, getting back to, you know, setting the order properly. God first, me next, the ones in which I love after that, and then my work. And if you continue to do that, just utilize that simple formula, you'll find that new doors will all of a sudden appear, even though they may have been there all the time. You'll be able to see them. You'll be able to hear them. You'll be able to taste life on a much higher manner and to me, that's what it's about. It's there is an awakening happen, as you know, then already, that there is an awakening, and we are witnessing that. And I'm excited, because I know that this is going to shift the whole world dynamically in its ability to heal and to grow again, like by as designed as it should, to understand that and to bear witness to that, and to realize that we are not the top of the pyramid. we are a part of everything, though, and everything is a part of us. And to know that was purposely set in motion for us to understand and to love and care for all those elements is really relevant to the way that we are supposed to take and utilize the gifts in which are always and have always been there. You know, the gift is really opening those things to discovery. And with your heart is the easiest way to do so.
We have an Ojibwe prayer that says, teach us love, compassion, and honor, that we may heal the earth and heal each other. And I believe that the key for healing the earth is healing ourselves. That each one of us, when we invest in ourselves, in self-healing, when we take care of ourselves, when we heal our bodies, we heal our minds, we heal our hearts and our spirits, when we restore balance to ourselves, that the earth heals, because she feels everything. all the elements that are in the earth are in us. We're part of her. She's a part of us. She is our sacred mother. And when we are willing to do that, to heal ourselves, it's a contribution to all living beings. And I think that's, for me, my wish and my prayer for you and for each of you, that you would see how truly valuable you are, how worthy you are, how cherished you are, and that you would heal yourself.
Yeah, heal the past, be in the moment, and bless the future.
Beautiful, beautiful. And thank you so much for all of the beauty and wisdom and love that you've brought here today. I'm so grateful for it and for you in my life, for you in the work that you do and helping so many people around the world. Thank you. And to our audience, thank you for joining us today. Feel free to share this video. You'll find Chief Robert and Terry's contact information and a link to find out more about what it is that they're doing below this video. Do share and let others know what you're taking away from this. And remember to join us for future episodes. I've interviewed these two several times and we're not done. So to our audience, turn on your notifications, subscribe to us on YouTube, and most of all, until next time, be well, live, love, and be a bigger positive impact maker in your world. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.